Welcome back. Sikcho Fame. Yes? Did it work? Was it good? Awesome. Sikcho Fame. Haila. Okay, good. And what is the response? How do you respond to it? Hi? Hi? Okay, good. Okay, welcome back everyone. Please be seated. I would like to take this opportunity and say thank you so much because it has been a wonderful time, a wonderful conference. We are here already 1.5 days, filled with so much information, so many trends, and so many initiatives. So I do hope that those people that have actually put their hands up, that will become the green citizen, will have actually went already there to the booth and literally signed up. So I really hope that that happens. I would be very, very happy to see even more sign-ups because that's all about our city, our community, and we all come together. Together we are strong here. Good. How was the food? Did you like it? Did you have a good break? Yes? No? I can't hear anyone. What's happening with you? Hello? Say it again. How did you like it? Yes? Good. Are we here? Energized? Yes? Good. That's, by the way, we have here as well some of the startups that will be pitching later. So I'm just checking if they are energized and have their energy here. Yes. Good wish. I like it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and esteemed participants, welcome back from the lunch break, and welcome as well to the part where we will have soon enough the ESG Tech Startup Pitching Day. After rounds of rigorous screening, we are thrilled to announce that over 30 tech ventures from both local and overseas have made it to the final round. This is a testament to the incredible innovation and dedication of all our participants. So let's give them, first of all, a huge, big round of applause. Thank you. We would like to extend as well our heartfelt gratitude to our strategic partners, because without their unwavering support, achieving this massive success would not have been possible. Now we would like to invite as well the representatives of the World Green Organization and strategy partners to the stage for a group photo session. Please join me to the stage, Mr. Alex Chung, Chairman of the Board of Governors, and Dr. William Yu, Founder and Chief Executive Officer. Please come to the stage, who is also the ESG Accelerator Program in collaboration with Cyberport. We would like to extend the invitation as well to Ms. Vivian Chu, Chief Brand and Communication Officer, BOC Live. Please give us a round of applause. That means you are getting awake after the lunch break. Mr. Terry Young, Chief Investment Officer, BOC Live. Mrs. Olivia Toh, Senior Vice President, Carbon Neutrality Technology, Innovation and Entrepreneurship, Invest Hong Kong. Mr. Thomas Ho, Head of Strategy and Ecosystem, Alibaba Cloud. Cyril Kwan, Fund Manager, United Sustainable, LPF and MSQ Asset Management, Hong Kong. Mrs. Pienka Lo, Head of Operations, iVision Consultancy, Hong Kong. Please come to the stage. Remember to keep a big smile from ear to ear. Yes. Very good. Thank you. Please remain on the stage as we will invite more people. Next, we would like to welcome our esteemed enterprise mentors, whose guidance and enterprise expertise have been instrumental in shaping today's event. So please come to the stage for a second photo Leo Lai, Managing Director, Raffle Family Office, Jean-Sebastian, Managing Director, Cavendish Investment Corp. And audience, please, you can keep clapping, so I want to hear the energy. Yes, and the smiles as well, good. Andy Chen, Partner Flare Capital, Cyril Kwan, Fund Manager, United LPF Sustainable Fund, Thomas Ho, Head of Strategy and Ecosystem, Alibaba Cloud, Howard Lee, Associate Director, Green Tech, Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks Corporation. I don't hear you clapping anymore, what happened? Great. Dr. Chun Chang, Deputy Project Coordinator, Hong Kong Applied Science and Technology Research Institute. Please have a second picture, and thank you for the clapping. It counts as the workout. Yes, please, Thomas Lang, come as well to the stage. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, and please remain for the final photo. I'm sorry, I know I'm testing your flexibility here. Good, the final photo. We would like to invite the representatives of Tech Ventures to the stage. Some are here, some are not, but I have to mention all of them for the last group photo. So please join us on the stage. Aculus Pure Metal, AKL Intelligence Technology Limited, AI Green Limited, Orabeat Technology, Blue Shark Energy Technology, BSF Innovation Limited, C-Tray Limited, Zinc Object Technology, Control Free Limited, EBRAM International Online Dispute Resolution Center Limited. Please go behind in the back in front of the screen. Thank you. Everything Green, Evident Limited, X10D, Finnis Intelligent Tech, From Work.io, Green Code, Green Bean Hong Kong Limited, Mimicrete, Orca Boat, Shenzhen WeBuild Technology, Symmetricals Private, SmartVis, Self-Star Technology, Spirit Limited, the energy company, Token Sphere, Universal Carbon Finance Limited Privacy, Visicine, Vision Carbon Limited, WeWare, Zenk Object Technology, Acoustic Metamaterials Group Limited, AMG. Thank you, and a round of applause. Wonderful, thank you so much. A huge round of applause for everyone here. Everyone can be please seated, take your time, no rush. All the startups pitch competition, you have the information. It will happen in meeting room 2. However, if you have any questions, please find the staff. They will always answer everything. So once again, thank you everyone for your participation and for your support. Let's continue to drive innovation and sustainability forward. And let's enjoy the rest of the sessions. Thank you once again, and a huge applause for the startups. Good. Now, let's dive now into our first afternoon session on impact finance instruments. Please help me to welcome to the stage Mr. Filippo Adadari, co-founder and managing partner Plus Value. Mr. Adari, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Hello, guys. Thank you. I'm delighted to be with you today. Sorry, I change with this. Okay, fantastic. Over the last years, starting from 2015, we have seen an immense increase in funding going into climate issues, environmental issues. In the last 2 days, we have spent 2 intense days talking, exploring, discussing solutions that address climate environmental issues driven by technology and science. Is there an elephant in the room? Is there an element in ESG that we tend to overlook? Not just us, all of us. Is the social dimension. We face a huge social issues. Just pick 2, the aging population, the migration. The social issues, which have always been a challenge for society, have been magnified by the climate crisis. So when we think about the climate transition, there is an underpinning change, which is the socio-economic transformation. And one speaks to the other one. We cannot address the climate environmental challenges without thinking about what is going to happen to our people, to our societies. They have to change as well. They are changing. They have to be part of the process. They have to gain from the process. I come from Europe. I was born in Italy. I live in London. Over the last years, the European Union has been somehow a champion of the climate transition. They have been really aggressive with the Green Deal and the regulation on climate impact and environmental sustainability. However, somehow the institutions overlooked the socioeconomic dimension. They overlooked the cost for society, the cost for ordinary people, the cost for business. What's the result? I don't know if you are following what's happening in Europe, but it's backfiring. And it's backfiring in a very concerning way, particularly in my home country, where you see a coming back of something that we thought we left behind. Fear. It's ultimately about fear. It's about coming back of poverty and fear about change. And this is a very dangerous challenge to the climate transition, to the progress that all of us promote. So we can't just wait for this, we must act. This is what we do. So it's important when we talk about ESG that we look actively at this socio-economic transformation within the climate transition. And we can do it, with the financial instruments, actually in particularly with something that has been thematized, developed, and stressed in the aftermath of the 2008 global financial crisis, the social outcome finance. We can do it. Finance has always been reinvented. Think about life insurance. It's an invention which has changed our societies, has brought security in our society. We must do it again. Now, this is what we do with Plus Value. My company does that. However, there are some differences. Before I'm telling you share some cases with you, just to illustrate my point. We are somehow shaped by the dynamic of technological innovation, in particular digital innovation. And we have to be very, very careful because socioeconomic innovation operates in very different ways. First of all, technology models are important, but they are not the only determinants of innovation. Context is fundamental. Geography and time. So what works, and probably what I will present in the next minutes we spend together, has been developed and makes sense in European context. It might not work here. And certainly, even if the technicalities might work here, because we operate in a global financial system, however, the political, economic, the social, cultural conditions are different. And they must be addressed because of their difference. The organizational landscape has to be taken in consideration. People matters. Agency. Agency, the fact that people change their behavior based on values and choices. That is fundamental in socioeconomic innovation. And that's the beauty, because it's a way to, in a world where we talk all the time about AI and climate change and climate dynamics, this brings people and their choices back at the center of the process. But then there is also tactic. And that means narratives, stories. If you want to move people, you need to create stories. If you want them to change their behavior, you need to create new stories or reinvent stories. And finally, what I call pain points. Because all of us, we tend to be conservative and driven by habits, unless we feel pain. When we feel pain, we change. You need to look for those pain points. 2008, the global financial crisis, was an exceptional event, and that generated this new way of thinking finance. COVID has been another event. We are going through another of those kind of dramatic changes. Don't waste that opportunity. Now, I'd like to share a couple of examples. And as I said, I'm not here to sell a model. I'm here to use stories to inspire. Very different. I'd like to start with something that was actually created in the UK. I've been in London for 20 years. The Brits come with a lot of shortcomings, but when it's about creativity applied to finance, they are brilliant. And so in 2010, they launched the first social impact bond, which is, by the way, great name, it's not a bond, is actually been renamed social outcome contract, because it's, first of all, a public-private partnership that leverage entrepreneurship and innovation to address social challenges. The context is important. It was 2008, after the global financial crisis. You know what happened? Government didn't have any money because they had to foot the bill that banks left behind. And they had to cut public expenditures dramatically. So there was no more money to pay for services, and especially to improve services for people. And so they came up with a very simple concept. You need the private sector to provide the money to improve services for people, public services. But at the same time, we just don't want to pay for services. We want to improve them. So let's use what the private sector does best, entrepreneurship. And so after a very long gestation, in 2010, the British government launched the first social impact bond or social outcome contract that on one side have government setting the targets. On the other side, you have the private sector putting down risk capital and developing innovative solutions to achieve those social outcomes. And then government does something that is very special, in my view. Goes shopping for results. It means that it pays the private sector for the social outcomes it has been able to generate. It means that it uses, in that case, the pound of the taxpayer in the most effective and efficient way. But it does something even more important. It uses a government expenditure to trigger and support a new market for social outcomes. It puts market forces and finance at the service of society. That's the sense of the social outcome contract. What is important is not the financial product. Financial products are never important. It's the vision and the goals. And just because I'd like you to understand, sorry, a couple of numbers, because I'm sure here there are people who look at numbers. In 10 years, this simple invention has been replicated 295 times across the world. Now, social impact bonds, you will find them everywhere worldwide. The first one was applied for the job inclusion of ex-offenders. These days, you will find it at school, for instance, to improve the digital skills of kids. It has been used in health to foster well-being and healthy nutrition. It's a revolution in public services. It's finance at the service of society. Behind the narrative, there is always planning. So there are models and technologies, clearly. And it's a bit complicated to go into the details. I just would like to get the concept. Yes, we have it. So here you will have the founders that, based on the targets set up the market, will support agencies, project managers, that select service providers. Those are the entrepreneurs. If you are familiar with the concept of social entrepreneurs, those are the typical entrepreneurs that fit into this bill. But in reality, these days, you will find not-for-profit, government agencies, and in private sector doing that. And you have independent evaluators monitoring the process, so it gets often university working on these schemes and doing proper evaluation. And finally, here you have government using public funding to reward the successes in delivering funding for the people. There is something new that it hasn't been really developed here. I put it in gray, therefore. All of this can be accelerated and scale up through a digital solution. You see, technology comes back. And, you can also drive further funding, but also transparency and accountability through new technologies like blockchain. This is something that's been around already for 10 years, and we will see a revival. This is what we expect, especially with this increasing social crisis. For instance, recently we propose a scheme like this one on affordable housing, so moving from soft services into real estate. And coming from Hong Kong, you know how real estate can be a strong driver for the economy. But and these are some examples. The very first one that was done in the UK for the work inclusion and the reduction of recidivisms in the UK. More interesting is definitely this program working with migrants and work inclusion. That is, for instance, something that has been picked up and scaled in Europe. We are doing some work on this now. But I'd like to, as I said, never get in love with financial products. They are just tools to an end, and deploy your creativity. So I'd like to close with something which is along the same line, and this is a total experimental concept that we are going to launch this year in partnership with the European Commission and the national investment banks. Social Impact Index for the investment in social infrastructure. Let me say a few words just to leave you. I mean, Hong Kong is certainly one of the capitals of real estate, so you should grasp the idea. There is a subcategory in real estate, which is physical assets with a social purpose. Typically are the buildings, the facilities for health, education, social services, culture, sport. They are buildings, they are real estate, but they have a very specific social value, and that social value is never factored in. But because of that social purpose, both government and the community provide an implicit guarantee of that real estate. What we are now doing, we are going to measure that social impact and to correlate to its commercial value. So what we want to do is to put a number to that social impact and to include it in its commercial value. The goal is, by doing this, all the properties that all of us recognize as a valuable part of our life will increase in value, and so will become a very interesting assets for investors. We believe that in this way we can, as with social impact bond, see a new wave of investments in a real estate with purpose. And that would be another small revolution, those kind of revolution that can change the lives of everybody and do good business. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mille grazie, Filippo. Thank you so much. Very interesting, and I'm really looking forward actually as well to the social aspect, because it's something quite important to remember, to always add always together. It's not only the environmental, although we do speak about climate action, but let's remember as well that it's very co-related. It doesn't exist without each other, environmental, social, and governance. And having said this, I would like to announce the next session, and I'm very excited about the next session, to drive the decarbonization agenda across Asia and achieve a just transition. Please help me to welcome to the stage Mrs. Fabienne Michaud, Director SDG Impact, Sustainable Finance Hub, United Nations Development Program. Mrs. Michaud, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. That was fantastic, Filippo. You've done a lot of my work for me, so thank you for that. That intersection between social, economic and environmental outcomes. I also liked your bringing up the word agency. When we were developing our standards, boy, we had a lot of conversations about that because, you know, the concept of giving people agency in decisions that impact them was fairly radical. So it's good to hear it spoken about. And you talking about not missing out on those opportunities. I tend to look at some of those events that have happened from a slightly different perspective in that what we need to get better at doing is not wasting a good crisis, because I really cry into my Wheaties at the lost opportunity of the money that got spent during COVID and after the global financial crisis, that we didn't use those massive amounts of government spending to actually set us on the right track for a more sustainable future. So in some respects, I think the decarbonisation agenda is an excellent opportunity and crisis to actually band together some of those social and environmental and economic outcomes, to use it to drive action in inequality, particularly energy inequality, and which is a large component of poverty, which in turn, if we can actually deal with some of that inequality at the pointy end, is probably one of the biggest areas we have for an economic kicker to economic growth. So thank you. So I'm going to be very efficient and quick today because I have a plane to catch. So at least you can be sure that you're going to get out for your afternoon tea session. And this is my master deck because I wasn't sure what I was talking about. So I'm going to flick through to find the slides that I need and want to speak to. So firstly, let's talk about decarbonisation in the context of Asia. Asia is home, and no news to you, to 60% of the world's population and accounts for about 50% of the world's emissions, primarily by virtue of the fact that it is the world's manufacturing and industrial hub. So there is no global solution to climate without Asia, and I think that's a really important consideration, and one that I hope spurs people here to really think about the leadership position that Asia can take to help drive this transition. This is what you missed in the 10 o'clock session. Firstly, when we think about the interdependencies, I do like to highlight that the SDG framework is an excellent framework for thinking about this and moving into this, thinking holistically about how different outcomes across social, economic and environmental aspects are interrelated. Because the SDGs at heart is about interdependency. It really recognises that all impacts and dependencies are related, so the impacts organisations have on the world and the impact the world has on organisations, they are very interrelated and getting more and more interrelated because we're bumping up against some of the system boundaries of our ecological and social systems. The other aspect, of course, is, across economic, social and environmental impacts, you can't look at carbon only from the perspective of emissions. We have to look at carbon through a social and economic lens as well. If we don't do that, particularly, I think, we've been focused very much on the new clean tech part of the spectrum, but as we start to deal with the other 90% of the problem, the stock and the existing businesses and the hard to abate sectors that we have to take into account the impacts that transition is going to have on workers, organisations, communities, because otherwise we're going to get enormous pushback and resistance to change, which means we will not achieve the targets that we set. So even if organisations have good intentions and set an ambitious target, it's not going to be realistic if we're not taking into account and managing all of those aspects on human well-being. Let me just find the next. Oh, that was it. And this is a good slide that actually demonstrates both sides of what we're dealing with. So on the right-hand side, we can see that climate action is really, really fundamental to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals across all other aspects. But it's also, so we've got threats to development, but at the top, we've also got opportunities for development. Achieving our climate goals and how we go about doing that, given that there will be money that needs to be spent to achieve this transition, is an enormous opportunity to look at how we can, the expressions I use at home, which maybe aren't that appropriate in a sustainable development context, to things like killing two birds with one stone. Perhaps we shouldn't be killing the birds, but you know, we can achieve multiple outcomes with one pool of money. And I think as we start to have to deal with the fact that resources are scarce, our natural resources are scarce, we need to get a lot smarter about how we use them. We can't solve the climate problem and then come along and think, okay, we created three other problems, social and economic problems, and now we're going to solve those in isolation. We need to actually take all of that into account when we're solving the climate problem, so we create as much synergistic value as we can as we're doing that. And I think that's the big transition that we really need to make from a mindset perspective. On the left-hand side, we have this great little box that my colleagues at PRI put together to really illustrate the human dimensions of the just transition. So as I was talking about before, you know, we need to take into account the impact we're having on workers, the impact we're having on communities, how this impacts consumers and citizens at large. And if we don't do that, we're not going to be successful, or we're not going to be able to achieve change at the pace we need it. So now what I wanted to do was really show you and talk a little bit, and it's right at the back, sorry. Great stuff you missed this morning if you weren't in the morning session. It's coming. Here it is. So, now I want to give an example from a private equity perspective, just to finish up. So we worked with Fullerton Fund Management in Singapore on a bilateral basis to actually look at a new decarbonisation fund that they were establishing, and they wanted us to actually give some input, so advisory support around how that fund and how some of the fund, the practices of the Fullerton Fund Management Group, so ESG and their carbon procedures, stacked up against the SDG impact standards, so UNDP's SDG impact standards. So on a bilateral basis, Fullerton Fund Management actually went through the process of filling out the self-assessment form at the highest level, so at the 12 actions level, and then we took away their fund documentation and some of those procedures and gave much more granular feedback at a practice indicator level for that fund, so that they could actually map out an action plan to improve some of their internal practices to move more in line with the with the philosophy that's embedded in the standards. So as part of that, part of the standards is actually about not just thinking about what you do in an operational sense, but how can we lift that and actually have a broader market contribution. So through that process, Fullerton actually suggested that we work together on looking at the role that private equity could play in Asia to accelerate the decarbonisation agenda. And the output of that is this report, which you can find on the SDG Impact website. So, so this was really looking at, private equity investors who often have a much closer relationship and ability to influence organisational management than, say, public investments into big public companies has. So really looked at the role from the perspective of private equity as a sector to really think about the theory of change, the areas and sectors and ways that private equity could help organisations in Asia transition more quickly. So interestingly here, this is from the report. They actually used the framework of the standards and actually mapped out actions at a strategy, management, transparency and governance level, and looked importantly from a private equity's perspective how these things that at a conceptual level many people now understand around the importance, how does that translate into how you source your pipeline, how you make decisions about what makes it to the shortlist, how you actually factor in not only climate but other trade-offs and synergistic benefits into how you shortlist your investments, because that's I think one of the areas that we're seeing a gap. We hear people conceptually know that this is important, but it's not actually making its way into the actual procedures and processes of how decisions and investment decisions get made. And over here, on this side, this was actually, from the discussion that we need, getting back to killing more birds than with one stone, we need to actually really think about the synergies that we can create. What are the other synergistic benefits? Because often investments from a resilience perspective, from a pure financial perspective, often perform better when they have some of those co-benefits that we don't necessarily think are important or aren't our primary driver in the first instance. So the team at Fullerton did quite a bit of work at actually trying to map those out so it could take it into account in terms of how they think about decision making. And then down here, because the standards aren't actually replacing other frameworks, it's really a sense-making tool to help you think about which frameworks make sense. They've mapped out, across the four elements, what are the concepts and standards and frameworks that are available that they can use that are already there in terms of actually implementing this. So that report is available, and I think I'm close to running out of time. So I'm going to stop there, but would be happy to take questions if anybody has questions for me.
Do we have any questions? Take the opportunity. Not always can you ask somebody from the UNDP right away. Seriously. Anyone? Any questions? Yes. Let me come over to you.
Thank you very much.
That's a pleasure.
My English is not so good. I hope you understand.
That's all right. I only speak English, so I'm always at anyone that speaks more than one language.
Okay. You are speaking pretty fast, actually. Anyway, I'm Eddie, representing an NGO in Hong Kong. So 20 years ago, I went to San Francisco Museum, standing in front of a very huge backdrop about twice size of this one. That backdrop is showing the trend of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere from 1850 to 2030. So 20 years ago, it sets about 20 years later, that means today, 2024, the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is about 420 ppm. And interestingly, I searched most of convincing orphan or research center around the world, giving the same value, 420 ppm. In that sense, we have not much thing have been done in the past 20 years. And it says if it going up to 460 ppm in 2030, the world would not be suitable for human beings to live in. And our country, China chairman, Xi Jinping, he said, before 2030, we will reach the carbon peak. And I think it is easy, not difficult. Maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, we can reach the carbon peak if everybody of us try our best to help. But he said, afterwards, he will spend another 30 years. That means before 2060, we will reach the carbon neutral. I really doubt. How can we make it? Because we are emitting so much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
Yep.
How we can capture back? Or you just mentioned about the decarbonization. How we can do? I would like to consult you. Thank you.
Well, that's a $64 million question. I'm not sure I have a pithy short answer for you. I guess from my perspective, I'm I'm not a religious person. I would classify myself as a humanist and naturalist. So I put my faith in humanity. It's getting a good shake at the moment because, this is a huge challenge and we're not going in the right direction. And it will take multilateralism to get there because, in this transition, rich companies have to help poor countries get there. Rich countries have benefited the most from, creating the carbon challenges that we have, and we need to actually make sure that we can bring everyone along. And we're living in a world at the moment where that's, even more challenging than it was when the SDGs were agreed to 15 years ago. But I also believe that, we can do it if we prioritise it. The ability to do it is there. I think that we will see more mobilisation from a regulatory perspective and, from an organisation perspective who still looks at doing a lot of this stuff as a cost. I think those that are slow to move are going to get caught out at some point in the not too distant future. We're now having the debate at in forums like G20 around, turning off fossil fuels and starting to create a transition for that. So, so I think that it is going to become a financial and economic issue for companies probably faster than they think. But I am, it literally makes me cry. I mean, we're very blasé about the difference between 1.5 and 2 degrees, but, the difference for coral reefs is we can save them at 1.5 and they're dead at 2. And that's from a food chain perspective, from a from the perspective of what coral reefs do to protect the lands that they surround, from a surge and wave perspective, and just from an intrinsic value from a biodiversity and beauty perspective, it's an absolute tragedy. So it's very, very it's very sad that we're sort of, I use the merry-go-round analogy that, we're all on the merry-go-round and trying to wait until the music stops, but by the time it hurts that much, it's too late and we're going to have, irreversible effects that are going to be felt by our children and grandchildren and generations to come. So, I hope that we can continue to mobilise it, and I hope too that it isn't something that becomes something that everybody thinks is too hard. I think what we have to do is really activate people power and citizen power to put pressure on our leaders and governments. And, I spoke in my opening remarks yesterday about the poll that UNDP did with Oxford University, 75,000 people around the world in 77 countries, and amazing consensus that citizens want their governments and leaders to put everything else aside. They don't care what the differences are between countries. They want all of that put aside and global leaders coming together to solve for climate change. And there's an enormous amount of anxiety and goodwill to do that. But we're going to need to do it as a collective and make sure that we, can actually redirect resources from where there's more than enough, and really redirecting them won't make that difference to lives, to where it's going to make enormous difference. Yeah.
Anyone else? Last question. Yes, there in the back. 1 second. Do we still have time for one question?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Last question.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I represent JC International Hong Kong. Well, we do a lot of SDG projects. I just wonder, you have come here for a short visit, and in the short 1.5 day exchange, if you would like, what area would you say is something that you observe that can bring out the SDG impact that we have been talking about, and you focus on in Hong Kong to bring about that sort of improvement for everybody? Thank you.
Well, I did have some interesting, I've been here for the week, and I did have some interesting conversations that seem to show maybe a shift in terms of thinking at the association industry level, that Hong Kong's obviously known for being a financial centre, but that perhaps in terms of maintaining that that sort of recognition, then maybe it also needs to be a centre and known for sustainability as well. So, that would be great, because actually I don't think it's about one project or some things over here or some things over there. What I'm really interested in is how do we actually support the paradigm shift and the mindset shift to really put sustainability at the centre of all decision making, because then I think good things will really happen and happen fast. But if we continue to have that tug and pull where we're doing projects over here, but it's not embedded in our purpose and our core DNA, we're going to be getting form over substance responses, and we're going to be getting things that are too incremental for the change we need to drive to get to where we need to get to.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank
It was
you.
an honor. Thank you so much. A round of applause. Thank you. And please, here you can quickly take a screenshot. If not, I took a screenshot. You can come to me later. I really loved it. And yes, indeed, we do need to rethink our ways, our strategies. And what is most important to observe as well, it's not a problem the alpha generation or the Gen Zs have, because they are actually quite more sustainable conscious and environmental conscious than we are, to be very honest. But it will be their problem, because we need to get the act together and act now. So, without any further ado, I would like to introduce the next session on carbon reduction hygiene solutions. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome to the stage Mr. Timothy Young, Managing Director, Healthy Giant Limited. Mr. Young, the stage is yours. A round of applause, please.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, this is Timothy Young. I'm so excited here to say in this stage. I'm the founder of Healthy Giant Limited. This company was established 10 years ago. And in a mission, we want to promote and educate the public about the correct ways to do the disinfection and cleaning. The reason why, because let me show you something. This is a bio about me. I guess it's not very interesting for all of you, so I could skip that. There's a news that draw my attention. It's talking about the bud resistance to antibiotics will kill more than cancer in 2050. That means there will be over 10 million of people will be infected to death at that time. What does it mean? You know what? In the last 3.5 pandemic season, according to the WHO data, there is around 8 million life or death due to the contaminant of the COVID, right? But in 2050, there will be over 10 million per year, not 3.5 years per year. There will be 10 million of life will be infected to pass away due to the antibiotic germs, superbugs. So we would like to show you the chart here. The left side is the normal surface before disinfection, right? You will see that before we do anything, there's good germs and bad germs. But after you sanitize the surface, there will be a lot of reduction. 99.9% of germs will be gone. But you know what? After 3 hours later, the bad germs will be growing so faster than the good germs. And then we occupy a lot of space then in a very fast rate. So if you keep doing the same way, like keep doing the 99.99% of disinfection, keep mopping, keep wiping, or keep cleaning the surface, that means you are not going to keep killing all the germs, but you are going to give another chance for the germs to mutate to another very superbugs. So that is the reason why we have to do the correct ways in disinfection. Unless you're using the Lot 7 sanitizer, you will see here. Yeah. When you are using the Lot 7 disinfection, there will be no germs left, but there's a few of choice in the market. So, but of course we do. that is the right way to do the disinfection. Since we are introducing a few brands to Hong Kong, we are the sole distributor from the North American state, and Europe, and Australia. So we do have the chance to study different kinds of regions' environmental standards. But really, there are lots of the green label outside the market, and people, they don't really like what the label behind means. So I just want to show you here those labels, which I could say that they are very top tier standard right now in the market, like the cradle to cradle, which is the number one, the leader in the market right now, yeah, to protect the environment, and the eco-status, which is a sustainable procurement system, and international indoor air label. That means for all the chemical used inside the environment, is there any pollutant substance going to emit, like a VOC, formaldehyde, or PM particles, something like that. And the label here that shows the higher grade, the lower the chemical substance will be coming out through during the cleaning process. And the LFGB food contact grade, that means the chemical is able to contact with any surface which will be able to get in contact with the edible food. So this label, you could take a picture. They are really very, very nice standard outside right now. Today we are going to share some pain point that why the corporate, they are not going to choose the eco-friendly product. I guess the main question, the main point is before they don't really well known about the green label, right? Because they do have a lot of own private label, and they are not certified by the international organization. So I have to let you know which label is the very top leader in the market. And then the second point is there are none of none of any cleaner agent will able to tell you how much carbon dioxide has been saved when you use it. Even the product has already credited by the cradle to cradle. If they don't have the calculation, they just mean the product is very eco-friendly, but actually how much carbon dioxide has been saved, nobody could tell you. Even though they are already using 100% renewable energy, they are already used the bottles, every bottle has been recycled over 100 times, and they are all raw material coming from a very biological cycle and biodiversify, but you cannot tell the customers how much carbon dioxide I have been saved by using those products. But you know what? There is a brand, Green Care. They do have this methodology calculation. They partnership with the Intertek, which is one of the biggest lab in the world, and every product, when you use it, it's very easy for them to calculate how much of carbon dioxide, crude oil, or plastic has been saved immediately. Yeah, and of course there will be a comparison reference, right? So because most of those items, they are zero carbon production. So when they're comparing to the traditional chemical detergent, there will be a difference. So the accumulation difference will be just calculated in this certificate. And I think the third point for the people, they are not going to choose the eco-friendly product because they are deeply bear in mind that the eco-friendly product must be very poor in their performance. But actually, we do have a lot of significant cases in Hong Kong showing that the eco-friendly products, they do have a really good performance, and sometimes maybe even much better than the chemical detergent. one of our customers, they are coming from a very big food chain restaurants. The chef complained that the grill cleaner, which is very strong odor and very irritated to the skin and a big smell. And after they witnessed our demonstration, they were amazed by our performance. They just can't believe their eye because you don't even to wear a glove. Yeah, we don't need to because you see our performance is as much better, is much as good as those chemical detergents. So you will see here, yeah. And the main point is we don't have such irritation and that bad smell from our product. Like the cleaning, the stone cleaner, and the rusting stains and the carpet stains, actually for our items, very easy to remove. And yeah, and the fourth point for the pain point for the industry maybe most of there are very strong shortage of the training from the management to the front staff. So because the turnover is very fast, so always there are lacking a big gap between the product training and the usage, and those people will always think that eco-friendly product, they are very expensive. Yes, they do, but we do have a very high concentration though. But how could you make sure those front staff, cleaning staff, they are using the right way in the dilution rate? So we have a switch system which was designed in Germany and of course made in Germany. They will add every switch, make sure there is just only 5 ml of solution will coming out, and you will be diluted to 4 liters of water in the tank. So there will be any difficulties in controlling the dosage. And the other point is that when you are misusing the dosage, it's no harm to the surface. Even though you forgot to clean up the surface, it's okay. They are 100% biodegradable. So it's not going to any corrode to any harm the surface or change the color. No, they just keep the surface very as usual as before. Yeah, and of course after using these eco-friendly items, the staff and the environment which is much clean, there's less health issue concerned. Because there's a shortage of the cleaning staff, right? So we do have some way to help the company do less cleaning process, but still keep the good outlooking. The nano tool from Germany is another way out to solve this shortage of the labor. Because every apply or every single spray of our nano coating, there will be have a protection on every surface, like ceramic, mineral, plastic, stainless steel, curtain walls, glass, yeah, and actually it's colorless, odorless, and every coating, the coating will be last for over years, and it will be much more easy to clean to 80% of fast cleaning and 90% of less detergent could be used. So even though there's not enough manpower, no worry. Once you do the coating, the surface will be still very good outlooking, yeah. And here is some pictures showing how the mechanism work, yeah. And the mold remove, actually Hong Kong is a very humid city, so mold issue actually is a very common in Hong Kong. But we do have 4 steps, like step 1, we remove the mold, and then don't touch the mold, yeah, never touch the mold, because every touch there will be spores coming out from the mold. And second, the first one, after we spray the mold surface, we wait for around 5 minutes, and then the black spots will be gone away. Yeah, you don't need to wipe, don't need to clean. And after that, you need to spray a protective coating to prevent the mold coming out again during half year or 1 year. And the first step, we are going to neutralize the spores in the airborne. And finally, we will spray the air probiotic in the air, in the surface, in the environment to make sure that the area is good for people to coming again. Yeah, this is some case reference. And for some corporations, they already have, they notice the sanitizing is not the way out to clean the area. So they will prefer to use another way to do the sanitizing. That will be our probiotics. I guess most of you has been taking some supplement like probiotic into your stomach, right? But our probiotic is not for you to eat. It's for the environment. Every spray of probiotic, they will keep self-propagation. They will keep growing in the air for 5 days. So every 15 minutes, the probiotic will double its size, double its quantity. And unlike other traditional disinfection, they only work when the ear was wet. But if you don't spray, yeah, the area is still very unsafe. But our probiotic actually is not a sanitizer. It just keep occupying the spaces, okay? Occupying the spaces, and that means the bad germs, the bad guys, they don't have any space to live, to send out. So that would be inhibit the growing of the bad germs. So actually probiotic is a good germs. And when there's a lot of good germs, that means there's no more space for the bad germs. So this is the way we do the air purification. Instead of keep sanitizing the airborne, this is not a good way to do, yeah. And yeah, as you can see, yeah, this is the agar. When after disinfection, 45 minutes later, the bad guys regrowing out and become much more stronger than before. But when you apply the probiotic to the air, the result will be like the right one. And here are some cases sharing in the Hong Kong. And there are lots of schools and government departments, they are using our items to sanitize their area instead of spraying, doing some disinfection service like that. Yeah, and this is our client reference. Yeah, some of the developer, property management, and some cleaning company. Yeah, so this is the end of my sharing. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Young. A round of applause, please. It's very interesting to see as well, and I'm sure that these products and automations will be actually more and more. I've seen that already in the MTR, or sometimes even yesterday, I think I was walking in one of the shopping malls, and then I see there is a machine walking in front of me with nobody steering it, and I'm like, okay, and now what? What happens? But to be very honest, I remember I went once to Shenzhen, and in the Tencent headquarters, they had actually already these. That was back in 2015 or 16. So it's actually, you know, I mean, they already had it. So it's nothing innovative, to be honest. But it is good to have it because obviously I haven't seen that, for instance, in Europe. So I love the innovation and the technology. So thank you once again. Thank you very much. Good. Now I would like to start actually already. Oh, I'm speaking too fast. I'm sorry. Okay. I think if I would have to speak in Cantonese, I would be slower. Good reminder. Thank you, Tota. Okay, good. So now I would like to deep dive into our next panel discussion on health and safety solutions. And this session will be moderated by Mr. Terry Young, Chief Investment Officer, BOC Group Life Assurance Company Limited, and joined by the esteemed panelists, Mrs. Aline Wu, Chief Nutritionist, Hunting Herb Lab, Mr. Steve Yu, co-founder, Finesse Intelligent Tech, Mr. Raymond Wu, Chief Executive Officer, Diamond Island & Co. ESG Planner. Let's welcome them all to the stage. I'm having a huge FOMO not to be there. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Today, we are delighted to have experts from three key areas, nutrition, tech, and safety. So that today we will brainstorm and discuss health and wealthy solutions. First of all, I would like, we are lucky to have three experts. So maybe we spend some time to ask each expert to quickly introduce yourself.
Sure, maybe I'll start. So, hello everyone, I'm Aline. I'm a nutritionist, and my background is focusing in community nutrition, corporate wellness, and sustainable food systems, and I do focus on nutrition counseling. So I've been working as a consultant for Summer Herb, the first Western herbal wellness center in Hong Kong for more than 10 years.
Raymond?
My name is Raymond, coming from Hong Kong, but moving around Singapore, Canada, and mainland China for over 24 years, 5 years, so excuse me. I used to work for PepsiCo as a Innovation Council Chairman, so food safety, very important, and Maxims in Hong Kong, Maxims in Paris. So while we do food industry, so healthy is very important.
All right, hello everyone, I'm Steve, and I am the tech guy, which is working on IT background over 20 years. But right now I'm moving my industry from IT to healthcare. We do providing healthcare service at home. So my team has registered nurse, social worker, and other therapists. So we are doing empowering my technologies to my healthcare service company.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we start. I prepare a couple of questions for each of the experts. I want to ask you, for example, the corporate health issues. You're an expert in this area. What's the common health problem faced by employee, and what's the program that can help them to resolve some anxiety, and what's the impact of this solution on their productivity and help the company?
So when it comes to these, when it comes to the corporate world, I think the most common health concerns that I've been receiving from my clients, my corporate clients, and my personal private clients, the quality of sleep. I'm not sure if everyone's been suffering from this problem, and also the stress from work. Actually, there are a lot of studies, research supporting this. About 30 to 40% of adults around the world, they are suffering from insomnia. And actually, half of these people, they have been struggling with sleep due to work-related stress. So I guess stress and sleeping are the most concerns. So this is something that we have to focus on, because if you cannot sleep well, you probably cannot focus well at work, and it will affect the productivity, and also, the staff will feel fatigued, and they will have the absentee rate will be higher. So this is a concern, and of course, if we are having too much stress, it will affect our brain function and also our creativity. So now what we can offer our clients is we do provide a comprehensive wellness program for them, which includes herbal medicines, nutraceuticals, and also movement therapies. Maybe you guys have already experienced some singing bowl experience just now, and these are the solutions we want our clients to help them with to achieve, optimal health in a sustainable and also in a natural way, because there are a lot of different kinds of methods in order to improve our health. That includes like maybe medications and drugs, but we don't want that to happen because we want it to be more natural and and it's easier for our clients. And there are actually a lot of herbal medicines like passion flower and lavender, valerian. They actually have a lot of active components that can help us to relax, to calm down, and to sleep better. So these are the solutions we can provide for our clients.
Okay. Yeah, actually, employee healthness are very important in the ESG expert for all the corporates. But then somehow this is, I think, a new thing in the employee benefits. Can you share more example? For example, what's the impact? For example, those company.
Okay. So actually, we do have some like surveys, annual surveys for our clients to help us to gather more data information or feedback from our clients and to help us to track the results. The most common results are that it is really promising because there are about 20% of the participants, they have been telling us that they have decrease in their stress level and 10% decrease in absenteeism, and over 90% of our clients found our workshops helpful and they provide a positive changes in their life. So this really worked really well for our clients, and I hope it will benefit more people.
Yeah, talk about the health care and the employee wellness. Maybe I'm just thinking it's very common to talk about AI and tech. How, Steve, I would like to ask you, for example, your tech experience. What's the health-centric healthcare solutions that can combine with Eileen's expert?
Yeah, because we find that there's no single platforms that consolidate all the medical history. So everyone has a banking account, right? But there's no one else got a health wallet, right? So if you get your medical history, you have to get a report from clinic, from hospital. If you get a health records, your vital sign, etc., you have to get together from different areas. So we are building a platform to consolidate all this stuff. So for nutritionists, we always work with them because our client, if they have some stroke, they have to ask nutrition to provide a meal plan. So by using this kind of care plan record, so we will embed our AI technology there to analyze which kind of meal is suitable for the patients, and we will get the advice from the nutritionists.
Okay, yeah, because sometimes, for example, right, AI is more integration or strong power. Is there any readily made solutions that well tested? Because nutrition is somehow affect people's health and wealth, right? Health and wealth.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about the health wallet, right?
Yes, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any readily available tech-enabled solutions?
So far, we have already won the pilot in China Champ Group. There's a pipe care elderly center in Causeway Bay. So because we are the CCSP providers, so we have an authorization to get the patient consent to get the e-health records, and we have the consent from the client. We can get the medical history, and we have the consent from the elderly care center. We can have the service record. So our job is consolidate all this stuff, become an AI care plan, and suggest the medical professional how to take care of the patients.
Okay, then we have somehow we enable these two, nutrition and technical together. And next is the safety, right? To make sure this problem is sustainable and good for the commercial use. Raymond would like to ask you, for example, from your expert, from the safety angle, what do you think?
Yeah, food safety is number one thing in China, and government is paying attention to all industry, all the factories. So after 25 years in food industry, I realized that they did a big change this 5-10 years, and then I realized that there's a big opportunities for our Hong Kongers, to take advantage of the economic scale and supply chain in mainland China. Take it here in Shanghai, Hong Kong, and then utilize Hong Kongese and using your skill set, and then we go back to mainland to do business. This is what I do. So basically, because of a foundation safety in mainland China, I'm not so worried about that. And then they did a lot of tests and apply a lot of In fact, a lot of SGS, TUV, and all this requirement. So we did a lot of export to American company, America and Europe countries. So we sell like 9 million ports and pens to all other countries. Probably about 30. Yeah. So I'm not too worried about the safety, but the thing is that we keep on doing tests. That's very important. Every year we need to do that. But lately in Hong Kong, we built this brand called WBK, World Best Kitchens. And I hope that we partner with a lot of people selling food item, and together we're actually doing a lot of 分食厨房 the kitchen, and share. Yeah, exactly. So to have the safety concern first, and then the healthness. Exactly. So we put everything together. This is how we do it right now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, then we have some ideas in each area. You have experts in your own areas. How about we combine our knowledge together and to give some innovation into how we combine all these nutrition, tech, and safety, and your manufacturing of the kitchen. For example, right? What do you think is a significant innovation to provide health and safety solutions that not only your own field, but beyond? For example, combine. I don't know, maybe some tech-enabled nutrition that with a safety, continuous monitoring system, whatever.
This is getting really interesting.
I can share a bit.
Three of us need to sit together,
do
some work together.
So I have experience in Jinan. So I have tasted space technologies, because astronauts, they have to have some fully oxygen spaces, and the food need to keep refreshing. So Raymond mentioned China is very cautious on the food safety, and it's true after I went to Beijing. So, and that's the reason why I'm partnering with some China manufacturer. So they will ask us to import some IoT sensor device to monitor the machine itself keep working. And this is what I have experienced in a few years ago.
Very good. We extended
All right.
to more factories. Yeah. I really think that this is the way. First of all, nutrition is important to every human being. So I think that is very important. But the thing is that from government's point of view, safety is number one.
Right.
So what we need to do is to do a lot of checks, in different departments and things like that. ESG is one of the things. SDGs, we actually do everything based on that. Yeah, no matter the SDGs, 3, 5, 7, 9, whatever. We try our best to create a green brand. Yeah, and safety is one of our direction as well.
Well, actually, as a nutritionist, I see safety as the most important issue as well. Because even if the food is really healthy, nutritious, and you don't have like a very safe way to serve it or to supply it, it will be a problem, for absorption and stuff. So I think food safety is very important. And for the tech part, I think this is the big thing nowadays.
Safeguard.
Yeah, because I remember when I first graduated 20-something years ago. It's been a long time. And then we do a lot of, paper recording everything, and we have to get reports from different doctors, and it takes us a long time, to gather everything. So now with the technology and maybe specific apps, we can easily monitor our clients. We can see how they are doing daily, especially for people like diabetes. We have to keep track of their diet, their blood glucose level every single day. I think with all this tech and app and stuff, it will help us to monitor our clients better and to track the results better. So I think it's nice that we can all work together to create a better world.
Yeah, I know that you previously introduced some app to check the diabetes, because in the past, right, people may be scared of pitching the thing is every day. But now with the innovation in the app, but then recently there will be some discussion around different standards. For example, we want to commercialize our products to different countries, for example, China, Hong Kong, Europe. But then different countries have different standard in terms of safety standard, or the allow of different ingredient, or the technology. The technology is universal, but then the standard are different. How do you think we can you can make it a better standard, or make it more commercial, easier to commercialize to all those countries?
First of all, I think we need to study countries' regulations. First of all, because in Malaysia and Indonesia, even though they are Malaysian, Muslim, Allah, the Qingzhen is what? Halal.
Right.
They are different. You got to really understand their regulation first before we create our products. And the same as, nutrition and also tech maybe, because like TikTok, they are not allowed to go into Indonesia.
Many standards right now. Actually, Hong Kong government is pushing. So in globalized standards, we have FDA, right? So Hong Kong, we have our own FDA for drugs.
Yeah.
So there's a Hong Kong FDA. And for some practitioners, they have also common standard to treat their patients from Interright from WHO. So we are following the standard to take care of the patients. So I think Hong Kong is a very special place to build the governance framework. So there's the value, one of the value of Hong Kong.
Yeah, internationally.
Yeah.
Actually, I have one last question. Once to ask Eileen and Raymond, with your technical IT expert here, what do you think may be the ideal product to satisfy the demand? Because I think previously we are constrained by the technology, right? We just use whatever available, but without the constraint, with Steve's help, what do you think, for example, will be the best nutrition program? Or for example, you say that the diabetes, maybe even to measure the calories, just take a photos and it calculate everything. What do you think will be the outcome with the tech's help?
Right.
I've always been asking my clients to do food record every single day. So it would be nice if you can create an app. You just have to take a photo, and then you can tell me, all the calories that have been available in the food, all the carbohydrates and proteins and stuff, all the nutrients. Then that would be perfect. Because sometimes I know my clients, they do cheat. They don't really record everything that they should be eating or they have been eating. So it would be honest, and it would be nice if there is some app that can remind them what they should be taking. For example, let's say if we assign them for prescribe them for some supplements, it would be great if you have a way to, remind them or make sure they just take it regularly. And it would be nice if there's some app that can measure track the health so that I can see if they have actually been, following all the diet guidelines or, the things that I've been recommended them. That would be perfect.
Yeah. How about Raymond?
Well, I think this guy is doing a very good job. Big data. Very important. In the past, we do the paper testing, and then you cannot see the comparison year by year, versus, by month. So you don't know your illness is going better or not. So with this technology right now, is easy. And importantly, I want to bring something out is that every one of us need to understand our situation, our body situation, in order to get help from nutritionists, right? Correct? But how to collect all those data? This is the guy.
Yeah, actually we are doing the same things. So we are building platforms, installing the sensor at home. Then we are capturing all the vital signs through some radar technologies.
Yes.
And we are getting the help there from health institutions. And actually we have one promise: no one else willing to type in all the health records, right?
Yeah.
So we are doing it. Yeah. So we need to install a sensor at home and capturing all this stuff at our platforms and passing to the nutritionists to get a more accurate plan. So we have a stroke person or a stroke patient in my company. So we were doing some neuron therapy. So because stroke is not only the physiotherapist, so right now we're rehabbing the neuron. So if you see the Tesla, the Elon Musk, right? There's a neuron line coming. So we're slightly chasing his step. Yeah. So we are doing the treatment for stroke persons to keep track the monitoring of the health and see it is becoming a better life or the health conditions getting worse. So this is what we are doing. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the end, I think even after we combine all these technology, nutrition, safety, and tech together, we still need to produce some end products, which is good taste, safe, and tech enable we don't eat too much.
Value for money.
The ultimate products in the retail will be her products because the nutrition is a supplement, right? So we are the one who back her up, to provide safety, to provide AI analyze, to make her get a good products.
Yeah, but before she sells it, I need to check all
whether comply or not.
Check, before they sell it,
Yeah, that is so important too, especially our items are all
natural. We should all organize something together.
Yeah, definitely.
With a professor.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. I love as well the idea where you all say, let's do something together.
Right.
That is perfect. I mean, look, if we do something with the nutritions and then an app that can actually, Anna, tell us what the calories are, but it can as well tell us what the emissions are from the food that we are eating, that would be fantastic. So whoever here in the audience is a little bit tech savvy, please take that into consideration and let me know once you're going to be doing it, yeah? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Once again, a round of applause for our moderator and the panelists. Thank you. Fantastic. Good. Now, I'm delighted to introduce you now to our next panel discussion on biodiversity and blue credits. It will be moderated by Mrs. Olivia To, Senior Vice President, Carbon Neutrality Technology, Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Invest Hong Kong. Yes. And it will be joined by the inspiring panelists, Mr. TP Lim, President Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots Malaysia, Mr. Filippo Adari, co-founder and managing partner Plus Value, and Dr. Tamara Savelyeva, Associate Professor of Sustainability Education, the Hong Kong Institute of Education for Sustainable Development, UNESCO Hong Kong Association. Please help me to welcome them to the stage. Thank you so much as well for your flexibility because we are a little bit on and off with the timing. Thank you. Enjoy the panel.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining today's panel discussions. I think our topic is really future-driven and also, action-oriented because we talk a lot about the biodiversity and also the blue credit. So today here with us, we have three brilliant panelists to talk about this innovative ideas and how can we use the finance, use the community projects, as well as the academic impact to drive more biodiversity conservations. So I would like to, just start right in with TP because you are the president of the Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots Malaysia. And you do a lot of work about the community and also, biodiversity conservations. Can you share with us about your projects on the conservations and what is your observations about the young Malaysians? How could they make impact through these projects?
Sure, thank you. My name is TP and I'm the president of Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots Malaysia. The Roots and Shoots program is a program which was started by Dr. Jane Goodall. If you're not familiar with her, she is the lady who's been studying chimpanzees for many years. She's also the lady who discovered that chimps made tools. And because of that discovery in the 1970s, it basically redefined mankind, right? So that the line between animal kingdom and mankind was blurred because she basically broke, at that time, the definition that man was the only animal capable of making tools. Anyway, fast forward, wow, 60-something years. So Roots and Shoots is a youth program that is now active in 70 countries around the world. And on an average basis, every year, we engage with anywhere from 1 million to 1.4 million youths through our programs in the 70 countries. And Malaysia is one of our younger chapters. We are coming up to 9 years old in Malaysia. In the few years that we've been active in Malaysia, we've engaged with more than 10,000 youth volunteers. And many of the projects are actually youth-led, which means that it's about what the youth themselves want to do. And a big part of what Jane is trying to achieve or inculcate in these young people is for them to feel a sense of hope and a sense of ownership of the projects that we run. So to answer your question, which is how do community projects impact the environment and sustainability of our biodiversity, I think at the core of it, and this was a discussion we were having privately earlier, is how do you connect the head to the heart? Because young people from around the world are actually very climate aware. They're actually very eco-aware, right? There's a lot of head knowledge out there for young people to learn about. In fact, they are so aware that many of them are getting into depression, right? So we have this thing called climate anxiety, right? So I think without going into too much about the nuts and bolts of what the program's about, I would like to highlight that actually the real core and the real game changer for helping the environment in the long term is actually to help young people, or all people, all of mankind, to have hope, and for them to not only know about the climate crisis, but to actually feel the climate crisis and to want to do something about it. And Jane has many reasons for hope, and one of them is the fact that the human mind, the human brain is extremely intelligent, and we're all capable of finding solutions for all the problems we face, but we have to care enough that we want to do something about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you make a brilliant point about the collecting your mind and then also the hope. I think Jane also published a book a bit, it's called Seed of Hope. Yeah, so basically is, trying to pay the seed as a hope that for the future generations. Talking about the future generations, I think we have to bring in Dr. Tamara, your point of view about, education system and also particularly on sustainability educations and biodiversity, because you have strong expertise, on shaping the program and also educating the future generations. Could you share more about how do you design the education program when we are talking about the sustainability, and how can we effectively promote the biodiversities, in Hong Kong or all over the world? What is your perspective?
Well, thank you so much, Olivia. Thank you, TP. Thank you, Filippo. Thank you, the audience. I would like to just build up with what my colleague, TP, just said. Education for sustainability, and I will not tell you anything new, is actually about changing the mindset of people. It's less about pushing them to act or do what is written in the policy or do what teachers or parents tell you to do. It's about changing the entire mindset of a human being, which is a tremendous task. And I am coming from the scientific background, working in Hong Kong and the region. We actually ran the government-sponsored research on sustainability consciousness. We surveyed 5,000 Hong Kong students. We interviewed teachers just to find out that the youth of Hong Kong does not have a sustainability action component, which crosses out sustainability, all sustainability efforts down to zero. We did more research with the more advanced and deeper methods. We talked to students, we talked to teachers, and we found out that sustainability in the Confucius heritage culture doesn't have the same meaning as it has in the West. So that in order to connect head to heart, it's what TP is doing in his program, we have to actually talk to or touch the strings of the culture. And in Hong Kong, the main sustainability in the minds of the young people, it's about relationships. It's about relationship to nature, relationship to others, relationship to self. Pretty Confucius across, pretty relevant across Asian region. So therefore, the curriculum or the education, which is a paramount, and everybody, an economist or a business person would tell you, is a paramount part of any sustainability effort, has to be built on what, not on the curriculum prescribed by United Nations or the government or whoever. It has to be built based on what is relevant. And in Asia, we found out that what is relevant is family, perspective in the future. Students look at the future. They don't live in the present, they look at the future. And also imagination. Our kids, our students are very imaginative. And yes, they may not go and clean the beach simply because they're too busy getting their tests done. Yet, we have to make sure that the mindset we're changing in the way which is relevant, whoever is doing that. I hope I answered your questions, Olivia.
Yeah, that is a great response about the change in the mindset and also echoing the point about the actions. But I think from the point of view about the economic incentive, because projects and also the education projects we all need finance support. And then obviously right now we have some discussions about credit, carbon credit or blue credit. Could be a financial tools to subsidize this kind of community or education projects. And we have an expert here Filippo. You have been sharing your deck just now, just 30 minutes ago, about your amazing work on financing the projects. Could you share with us about your point of view? How can the financial mechanism be leveraged to support the biodiversity, as well as some of the projects, maybe in the freshwater or oceans? How can we use the financing tools for subsidies or financings to make the project sustainable, basically?
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, everybody. But let me start where Tipi and Tamara ended. So individual choices, mindset. Because first of all, money is not neutral. Every time that we buy something, every time that we choose and buy food, clothes, we somehow, with our simple economic choice, tilt the economic system in one direction or another one. And the collective result is ultimately the systemic change that we want or we don't want. Mm-hmm. Finance is very similar. When we choose a bank where to open an account, when we choose where to make our savings, and so investment funds, when we buy an insurance, and so contribute to those funds that insurance need to invest in order to pay the premium whenever they have to pay. So those individual, small, ordinary choices, they make the global financial system. And we contribute, often not being aware, often not thinking about such consequences. I think this is a very important point, and this is very important what they do, because in what they do, they shape ultimately the mindset and the behavior of people, and that is going to have a long-term effect. Now, on the other hand, there is finance in terms of what the financial markets and the financial institutions do today. And clearly there is a connection between one and the other one. I operate in this more short term, let's say in this way, dimension, looking at those financial instruments that can have an impact now. And I want to share very briefly, for instance, a work we are doing because it's symbolic. In an archipelago not so far from here, in the Maldives, one of those countries which are on one hand paradise, on the other hand they epitomize the climate change as a life or death choices. Finance is fundamental because channeling investments into climate transition and sustainable development, it's what makes this country ready for the climate adaptation and transition or disappear. It's more evident in the Maldives, less in the rest of the world. We are all in the same boat in reality. Now in places like the Maldives, so we started doing, again, simple things. Designing the government policy about sustainability for listed companies. It's interesting because, you know, ultimately it's a piece of paper. The government, with its own stamp, it make it compulsory, and that legal compulsion is going to change how finance move, how companies behave. Let's do another step. There are really transformative financial products, again, small things that can have huge effects, like this new generation of debt for nature swaps. So they are essentially bonds, so sovereign bonds, you know, debt, that instead of your debt is the debt of the country. But those are important for those countries which are over-indebted, so they are a bit in a trouble in repaying the debt. And so in concert with the investors, often with NGOs like yours, actually often coming from NGOs like yours, the debt of the country can be restructured to make it financially more sustainable, but most importantly, aligned with the climate transition, meaning as the debt holders, the investors with deep pockets, with the help of the NGO, we sit down with the country and we agree on better terms for repayment, as it might happen between you and the bank and your friends backing you. But the country in question agrees to use the money, the future money, to make investments to preserve their natural assets, and in some cases, like for instance, Ecuador with the Galapagos, to invest to better preserve and enhance.
Right.
Now, this is how finance, which is somehow very technical, through not just finance but also from a collegial, multi-stakeholder action, can become transformative at the financial, natural and social level.
I really like the ideas when you talk about finance, but it is really on the community-driven angle, and then also on a more sustainable angle to make this kind of impact really not only about the finance, but really about the project's outcomes deliverables. So I think TP, when he talk about this kind of projects, you also have, because he gives some brilliant examples about Ecuador's, about the Galapagos projects. So what kind of projects that in Malaysia, when you're trying to fulfill or you're trying to push within the government or with the communities, what kind of observations about your projects and the strategies you're trying to implement when you're delivering the community-based projects?
Right.
Hello? Wow, it's a sign. Yeah, no, I didn't do it. Okay, I think before I respond to that part, I just wanted to echo something that you said, which is the idea that the solution needs to come from a collegiate approach. It needs to be what I normally call it the all-society approach. That means all of society needs to get involved. And I think this is an example that Dr. Jane herself has cited. Because I had a chat with her after COVID on Zoom, obviously, and she said, TP, if only we tackled our climate crisis like the way we tackled COVID. Right? We need to let this sink in, right? So, in fact, humanity knows how to do this. We just don't have enough passion, right? In the case of COVID, the passion actually was driven by fear, right? But fear. The thing is, we're scared of COVID because it's very immediate. We're not that scared of the climate crisis yet. But if Hong Kong decides to have that crazy rainstorm once every month, I think Hong Kongers will get their acts together and do something drastic. Right? If the Maldives was going to sink, right, and be covered up, if LA was going to be flooded, if New York was going to be flooded, California was going to be burnt down, if the fear is big enough, then the passion to do something is big enough, right? So I think as human beings, we need to at least recognize that we already know the solution. So let's just skip all the BS, right? We already know the solutions. It's whether we want it bad enough for ourselves, we want it bad enough for our children, do we want it bad enough, do we care enough about our kids and our grandchildren's future to want to make those hard decisions? Because we actually already know how to do it. Yeah. Okay, anyway, I just wanted to make that point. Did you want to say something? Yeah, please.
I wanted to make a point. Well, I would respectfully disagree, because we all know that fear is a driving factor for the last hundreds of years of our humanity, and we see where it brought us to. The scientific evidence points that the human mind, it's not my opinion, this is science behind me, which speaks that the human mind is capable of producing miracles. And the fear produces more disasters and produces more climate effects, because our nature, our planet is a life entity. Life entity, it's a geological fact, living entity. Therefore, I'm bringing up the point of changing the mindset from fear-driven to unity, love, and hope, passion, all the qualities we human beings have, which have the positive vibration in this universe. That's where we need to shift ourselves and those whom we relate to, educate to, and we all educate each other. I'm getting educated as I speak from all of you. That is the direction, a question of direction, I believe, and not just I believe, that I can conclude pedagogical science, geological science, psychological sciences in the modern stage is pointing, changing the mindset from the carrot and stick, fear-driven to the catastrophe, to the opposite direction. We need to lift ourselves out of it, and how we do that, it's a big challenge, but it's all doable.
Right.
Sorry, if I could just have a quick response. Actually, I 100% agree with what you said.
Yeah.
I think the use of the word fear was to illustrate what drove COVID. I believe passion and hope should be behind the forward movement of the sustainability movement, the protection of nature, and all of that. So actually, we're all on the same page. Just want to give Filippo a chance to share.
Before that, I just would like to pick up some of the point about Dr. Tamara when you add changing the mindset again. Because as an educator and also as an academician, I think you have the power and also capabilities to trying to inject some of the framework when you teach about sustainable developments, right? So can you share more about, because I think we have to put it in a practical way when we are trying to educate our future generation, and I think you are already doing so. Can you share a bit, how do you try to integrate these kind of ideas in your systems? And then what kind of benefits or challenges when you're trying to do so?
Thank you for your question, but I noticed that Filippo wants to make a point. Maybe on all.
Yeah, sure. I will.
Filippo, can you bring in a few words and answer Olivia's question?
I will go right there. Yep.
Just hold it in. I'm not interrupting anything. Hold it on.
It's okay. Maybe ladies first.
Okay, so the question was about, it's all good, Tamara. Yeah, life is, our planet is alive. Psychology is right, science is always right, but we have to live and we're afraid we have to pay our bills, we have our children to be educated, and we want to make sure that tomorrow nothing swipes off our beautiful islands off the face of this earth. So what concrete you can tell us, Tamara, with your scientific approach about this? Well, I'll just repeat my point. Beliefs shape the action. Changing beliefs from the educational perspective, you cannot shift the responsibility to education solely. We all are educators to each other. We educators to our colleagues, to our subordinates, to janitors, to each other, to our children, and we're children of some. We educate each other. We have to start with ourselves. The concrete scenarios, the script written scenarios, there are so many that there is no one generic one. So far, we as the educational sciences, or we call it pedagogical sciences, has years of proven evidence that working together, children working together, or adults working together, human beings, I think in business you call it teamwork. But working together, not in order to overcompete the country next door, who thinks first, they think I survive, but in order to construct, to create. Remember, the research shows the research on Hong Kong, which I mentioned earlier in this talk, showed that the students have vivid their imaginary there in this culture. Their imagination, they're driven by imagination forward to the future. Therefore, they're willing to work together to construct something meaningful for the future. We have to give them the chance, not only to the children, but to everybody around us. That's the task of education. And the concrete scenario, again, we have to create our concrete scenarios as we go. Teamwork, working together, creating meaningful things together, impactful together, planting the seeds. Small actions have a huge impact. Most of these actions are unreported, not reported. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, brilliant point. I will go right back to the gentleman, Filippo, about finance again. Because we are talking about the systems, right? We have a lot of projects, and ideally all kind of projects could be generate credits. But before that, we have to finance these kind of projects. So we haven't touched into the blue credit, but I really would like to dive deeper by just having a phase or wording about the blue credit, because it's a very important financing tool. So can you share a bit when we really would like to illustrate the idea that could be implemented in Hong Kong or overseas or in your projects? What kind of challenges or opportunities you seize when we are trying to put this kind of financing tools on board, on the tables, when you're engaging your stakeholders to make the project sustainable?
Okay.
And you can also respond. You can also respond, you know, some of the conversation before.
Yes, let's start with the products, and then we move back to the cultural aspects. Because as we said, or I said before, you never start, never end with finance as a technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a means to an end. But looking for a moment and pausing on the financial products, so the technological aspects. So blue credits are part of the credit family, and in this sense has to be understood. There is nothing magical or complex. Actually, there is a bit more complexity. In a credit, it's a simple financial relationship. I owe you, you lend me, and it's about time and the cost implicated in this time. When you had a color, green or a blue, it means that you add a new dimension in your calculation. That color is not there just by chance. It indicates that our agreement, our financial agreement, is also determined by a new dimension. And that is the blue or the green. The blue in particular relates to anything which might affect the water world. Fresh water, salt water, the ocean. It has been expressed in practical terms, so we are not talking about fantasies. It's happening. Bonds, blue bonds, so financial products for countries, for companies, not individuals yet. I think when we will start looking at blue credit for individuals, we'll move in a very interesting space, because we'll enter into the sphere of our choice where we can do something. But at the moment, it's related to essentially nations and companies, and it means contracting on one side a debt and using part of this money, users' proceeds, as you say, to have a positive impact on those water resources. I give you an example. Actually, I found out yesterday in Hong Kong during the conference. Gigi Chao.
Gigi, hey?
Yes, I think you know her.
Yeah.
They launched their project on sustainable fishery, aquaculture. That's a typical example that would attract or can use or could benefit of this form of blue credit. You have a business, fishery, in that case, aquaculture, but you also have a clear impact on sustainability in the ecosystem. This is what triggers the blue dimension. This is what, for instance, and that depends on the context, for instance, in the case of the banks, they might recognize this offering a better credit terms, meaning lower cost of money, that it's very important for businesses. So they tend also to have a very important impact on the community, on the local community, again, on the choices of the local communities.
Right.
If a bank offers credit to local fishermen to fish in a sustainable way, that will incentivize the entire community to respect and value the ecosystem. This as now it's something that you can encounter and find regularly worldwide. Financial institutions are supporting this. Global banks, companies are also implementing this policy with their suppliers. So multinationals expect their suppliers, their SMEs. Hong Kong has a very large SMEs industry. That's a way to green or make sustainable an entire industry or economic system. This is the technological and, if you want, the market approach. But there was something that was started in this conversation that is very important. Don't paint or don't look at finance as just a virtuous system. Finance is actually, I describe it as a bit like sharks. They follow the blood. So it's all about channeling that instinct. And within finance, there are also some strong embedded, let's call them emotions, but they are also intellectual aspects. Indifference, ignorance, arrogance. Indifference, if I make money, who cares? Ignorance, I don't want to know anything else than making money. Worse, arrogance, with money I can do whatever I want. I can buy whatever solutions I want. These are the dangerous aspects. This is also the hidden danger in sustainable finance. So a blue bond is not per se a solution. Actually, it can be used to absolve from responsibility. It can give the illusion that we can keep on doing as we have always done and not changing anything. This is the dangerous aspect of finance. We think that with finance and technology we'll solve everything, and we won't do what it's necessary doing, which is a change of mindset and behavior at the collective way.
Yes, brilliant points. You're already conjuring the whole panel, you know. I really like the point that when you point out we already have some of the very concrete projects, not only in Hong Kong, but also overseas, about the blue credit or other credits, and that we also have lots of financial instruments for financing these projects, but we have to concern about the various factors when we're trying to finance the projects, because it's not only talk about, you know, the ultimate goals is just trying to make it sustainable, but more importantly, what kind of individuals' actions and what kind of community perspective and views when we're trying to make this project happen. And I also like the points about Dr. Tamara, when you talk about the change in the mindset and how can we trying to inject this kind of ideas in your education systems and also make your sustainable framework to be actually implemented on their future generations or your students. This is really important. And then finally, I think TP, you mentioned a lot of very good points about Jane Goodall's, some of their mottos, and take that into actions. And how could you make the Malaysians youth to be taking part and also take actions to these kind of projects and planting the seed for our futures. With that, I would like to close our panel and thank you again for joining the sessions. Please join me to give a round of applause to our brilliant panelists for sharing their very
Thank
insightful
you, everybody.
experience.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Olivia, and thank you to the panelists. It was a great session. Thank you so much. Please take your seats. And I definitely loved the one remark that actually was quite thought-provocative. What would happen if we would start treating climate change as we treated COVID and the response to it? Isn't it thought-provocative actually? When you think about it, you're like, wow, okay, let's hope that this will bring us a change. Good. Now I'm excited for the next panel. Unfortunately, our last, but I'm definitely very excited to the extent that I will take a selfie with the panelists and the moderator. So FYI, I already informed you. But now, please help me for our last panel discussion that will be on the topic of women in green revolution. Isn't that an amazing topic, right? Yes. Which will be moderated by Mrs. Lorraine Chung, Head of Audience Yahoo, Hong Kong. Please help me as well welcome the other panelists. Professor Teresa Tien, Adjunct Professor of Hang Seng University and Chairman of Senior Citizen Home Safety Association. Mrs. Anima, co-opted member fundraising and public relations subcommittee, the Hong Kong Student Ed Society, and Mrs. Jennifer Tam, director Chicks Lifestyle. Please, a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want a picture. I wasn't joking. So, yeah. I normally never do that. I normally never do that, but this is so great. I'm always advocating for women speakers and female voices. This is the first, and this is the most amazing. So, smile. Wow. Thank you. The stage is yours.
Wow, I feel like a superstar now. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our panel discussion on women in green revolution. So this is going to be a very interesting and amazing topic because we have invited 3 remarkable guest speakers to talk about this topic. Let me introduce them first. Sitting next to me is Teresa, Professor Teresa Chen. She is the chair of the Senior Citizen Home Safety Association. She is very devoted to promote active aging and sustainability. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next will be Annie Ma, Miss Annie Ma. Annie is a seasoned banking industry for many years, and she is now the co-op member of the fundraising and PR subcommittee at the NGO, the Student Aid Association. And final but not least is Jennifer Tam, Miss Jennifer Tam. Jennifer is the director of the Chic Lifestyle, which is a well-known brand in Hong Kong. She is working on transforming her family business to be a more eco-friendly directions. So now, welcome our panelists on the stage. And we should kickstart this very interesting topic about women in the green revolution. First of all, let's talk about your experience and what are your current latest activities working on the green initiatives. Let's begin from Annie. I know you're working with a lot of youngsters and groom them, coach them, mentor them to participate in all these different kinds of environmental protection measures. Can you share some of your latest projects and experience?
Hi, everyone. Very happy to be here today, and I'm humbled to be invited to this ESG event. I'm really not an expert or practitioner either, but I'm an ESG enthusiast, and I'm really amazed at so many passionate people around the world, especially seen today, academics, experts, to be participating in this call. Maybe I'll start with introducing the NGO I'm involved with right now. It is Hong Kong Student Aid Society, 香港學生輔助會. The name is not very well known, but it's been in Hong Kong for over 60 years. We provide residential care and also education and also community homes for underprivileged children. We serve around 400 plus children and youths, across, the premises that we mentioned just now. And these children are particularly, and youth are particularly having probably inadequate parenting, family problems, behavioral issues, and some may have some anxiety, psychological problems as well. So what I could share, like experience and observation so far, in the Hong Kong SAS is that when I visited these residential homes, I'm quite surprised to see that the youth are very, very engaged in green measures. Take, for example, in one of the cares, which are they are all teenagers of 15 to 18 or 20 years old, all boys. We call them they're all boys. They are actually the persons doing all the green measures in the homes. Starting from really waste separation, waste reduction, and managing the kitchen and everything. And it's perfectly tidy and clean. And it's heartwarming also to see that they are doing it very, very happily. It's not a duty. It's not a task assigned by the yuanzhang or by the social worker. So what we see as a learning is that, they're adopting by learning early. Probably if in their own homes, they don't get this type of training or education. But here in the residential homes, the social worker, they get to tell them what to do and, what is the right thing to do. So they build up this habit. So I think learning by adopting, is probably a very good way, for the youth to get, in the green journey. So for example, we also see in the residential homes, there are plants, and they are the one to be responsible for taking care of the plants. And it's a nicer environment for them. So in a way, it is also a training for acting responsibly. It's your responsibility. And they are doing it happily.
Of course, training, education, and will be very important to make sure our younger generation become more green friendly. And on the other side, we talk about like the elderly and more mature people. Teresa, you have been working a long time with to help the elderly, right? And one of the very famous service, which is the call on service, 一線通平安鐘, actually is found because of a very extreme climate incident happened like 30 years ago. So we can see actually environmental issues is affecting our more vulnerable peoples more seriously. So can you share your understanding and insights on this part?
Sure. Thank you, Lorraine. And first of all, I would like to congratulate the organizers for organizing this international summit and then, asking experts and people to come together to put our heads together to think about what are the solutions. How can we make our Earth, our Hong Kong better? Actually, this global climate change, including hot and cold weather, have been lately, it has been reduced, a lot of things. And because the weather has been so intensified and also frequent with this hot and cold weather, and also the storm weather. So, we have also heard about very recently a sad case that one of the hikers who went on hiking and then he got a heat stroke. So it happened to all of us, and then especially to the elderly and also the people who, who might have some chronic diseases, and also for people who live in inadequate housing. They are the ones who would be impacted most on with the weather. We all know that, according to my research, saying that when the temperature reached 33 degrees, that means it's dangerous to the health of the elderly. Because the body cannot really, generate or regulate the body heat. So that's why, it's very dangerous for the elderly people, especially in cold and hot weather. What happens, if weather is too hot or too cold? They might have heat stroke, heat exhaustion. Sometimes, they might have triggered the cardiovascular diseases, respiratory diseases, and dizziness, headache. A lot of things will happen. So, as Lorraine said that, our Senior Citizen Home Safety Association was established in 1996. So for some of you, you might remember that in the year 1996, that was a very cold, weather days, that 150 elderly people died because of the cold weather. So that's why, we were established at that time, and with our personal emergency link service. So it's like a, one press button device that you have to keep on your body. So whenever you feel unwell or any emergency, situation arises, then you press the button and it will directly to our call center. So we will ask the elderly whether, what do they want us to do? Whether to send them immediately to the emergency room or to call the relative. So before I come this afternoon, I kind of check on, the statistics. We all know that, these few days, Hong Kong is so hot. So yesterday, the Hong Kong Observatory, they have announced that for consecutive 9 days, we have a temperature of 33 and above. And yesterday, it was even worse. I heard that, in Shanghai, the temperature was as high as 36.4. And today is also 34. So, with this constantly, hot weather, our statistics have gone up a lot. Usually, in a regular day, we receive about 1,500 calls from the call center. But in these last few days, we have an average of more than 2,000 calls and be sent to the emergency. 2,000 cases sent to emergency every day in the last 9 days. And every month, we got more than 40,000 calls, asking for help or asking for information. So I'm saying and I'm calling that the hot and cold weather really affect much on the elderly's health. So that's why, I'm here today. I want to let you know that, this is something that is very urgent, that we should come together to talk about it. So hopefully, I hope that the government will hear, that, this is so, is critical. And they have to do something on the policy. How to do it? How to, reduce the carbon emissions. And also, Hong Kong is a very special place. Our buildings, that the term of wall building city, right? It's called 排風樓啊，屏風樓, yeah. So it's all in one block, and that really, stops the ventilation, the air circulation. That's, making some of the houses even hotter. So that's why, I'm very happy to be here to share this important message that how to help our elderly to cope with this extreme weather.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Your words remind us actually those underprivileged most suffered under the extreme situation. So every minor step we do better to improve the environment actually does help them a lot. So thank you for your word. Maybe I want to follow up with Jennifer. You're working on transforming your family business to be more eco-friendly. By the way, you work on the well-known household brand in Hong Kong, Gai Zai Mak. So what are the measures you taken, and why do you see it is so important to have the business going to an eco-friendly directions?
Thank you for having me here, and thank you for sharing, because I think previously when we were in business school, business is always about profit and loss. But now we are actually having a bigger problem that we have to face, like for the world, climate change. And it actually affects our day-to-day as well. So as a commercial, it's not about profit and loss anymore. It's about balancing profit and loss, but at the same time doing a good purpose to the environment, to the society. So for us, it's something that we feel is very needed to do is the education side. So for businesses, we always have a choice, like what we say in our marketing material, what supplier we choose, how do we influence our internal staff. So a few things that I've done throughout these years is actually starting to work with universities, secondary schools, and kindergartens to actually educate how a piece of garment is made. Because now things are too easily to get hold of. So you won't really treasure as much as before. So what we are going to do next step is actually we partner with an NGO, and then we will go to a kindergarten and teach kids from they are young. Because what we believe in is kids actually influence how we live. They will go to their parents and say, hey, you can't do that, like plastics. Like from the secondary school, from primary school, they actually influence parents, say, let's bring lunch boxes. Let's not use straws. It's actually the kids who have the power to change the family, how they live, like day to day. So this is what we are going to do, and what we have been doing and saw the effects on. After a workshop, kids will actually say, oh, I didn't know it's so hard to make a piece of clothing. How do you actually wash them to make it more durable? So this is important. The other thing is really on being sustainable is actually expensive. The materials that we use, it's more expensive, but the pricing that we can put up the margin is not that high. So as a business, it's our choice how much we put the margin in. So for us, we are a residential brand, we are a Hong Kong brand. So our markup won't be as high that people cannot afford. And what we think is underwear, when we use sustainable material, it's everyday change. I don't have to pay $1,000, $2,000 for a fashion piece to make change, but actually every day you have to wear a piece of underwear. So we change from little by little. And the other thing that we try to influence, it's the supplier. So in 2019, I worked with WWF. We actually went to Shanghai and Dongguan to my suppliers, and then they have an LCMP program. So they will look into the manufacturer side and tell them, hey, here you can lower your carbon emission. So for a brand owner, I think it's our choice to look at our supply chain throughout and see where we can make improvements. Not saying that we have to be a total sustainable brand because it's not cost effective, but I think step by step, by changing, we can actually make change.
Well, I'm so honored to have a chance to talk with these remarkable ladies, because I can feel the love and passion that you have to contribute to the society, to improve our world little by little, no matter to the youngsters, elderlies, or to the business. Thank you so much for having that. So on the other hand, apart from like really leading these green initiatives, the community's participation is also important, as we know. Without them participating, the campaign and the activities can't be very successful. So I want to ask, how are you going to involve like youngsters, elderlies, or even your family business into this green direction? How you can motivate them? Maybe we can start from Teresa. You have a lot of experience working with the elderlies. Sometimes I think like old mom, they're not related to like environmental protection, but it's not the case, right? They are actually the champions. Can you share your experience?
Yes, thank you. Just now I was talking about how climate affect the elderly. So those group of elderly is more like the frail, the older group. But you all know that, like this aged population spans over a period of from 65 to 100. I'm not sure whether you all know that right now in Hong Kong, we have more than 12,000 elderly people who are 100 years and above. 12,000 in Hong Kong, 100 years old. So we are all living longer and longer. For many years, Hong Kong has led the world with the longest life expectancy. But no longer last year, because we were taken over by Monaco. Yeah, so they have the longest life expectancy, and we are the second now. But anyway, just now I was talking about, the frail elderly who are in need of our personal emergency link service. But we do have a big population of young old. So roughly about 65 to 80 years old. Those people are still very healthy, independent, and they have a lot of time, that they would love to contribute back to society. So about more than 10 years ago, I started 2 groups. I set up the Institute of Active Aging at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. So that one is more like a research, education, but the more importantly is the practice center. So today, we have 7,000 members who are 55 plus. So why they are coming to our center? Well, of course, we are doing a lot of research and education, but what they really like about is the lifelong learning project that we are doing, and also the volunteer work, and also the anchor career. So we are doing these 3 things, that they can learn, they can volunteer, they can also find another job. Yeah. And I also set up another women's association. It's called WINGS. It's Women Initiative for Aging Successfully. So again, trying to empower the women through education so that they can continue to volunteer, to work, to contribute to society. So I would like to say that my experience is that, from my volunteer group, the senior citizens group, a lot of them, they're really happy that they can contribute back to society. Because right now, after retirement, they have so much time, but they would like to continue to learn and to socialize with people and to contribute back. So we have classes for them on green, on environmental friendliness, on climate change, so that after they learn, then they equip with the knowledge, and then they can go out to different senior centers to be the ambassador. So we call them the green ambassador. So they will conduct talks at the senior center, they conduct groups, and also they also go to schools for intergenerational, exchange. So I found that, mostly are women. Because women, they are willing to share, to volunteer. They self-initiate and organize themselves. And they're very good ambassadors because they have good communication skills. They're more socialized. And they are, very responsible people. Once they commit to that, they will not back out. Yeah, because we have this commitment, right? And also I find that, it's a win-win situation, because by asking them to be green ambassadors, they can contribute to our society by, helping to promote green movements. But on the other hand, from my research, because we always do research, on every project, we find that, they have higher self-esteem, because after volunteering, they, feel better about themselves, that they're able to help people, and also they find that they can communicate better with the family members, through educating and teaching, other people. And more importantly, I feel that they think that they can leave a legacy. They want to leave a legacy for the younger generation for a better, greener, healthier world. So these are all the good things that we find, well, it's a win-win situation. On one hand, they can volunteer to help our society. On the other hand, this work has been helping them for their self-esteem and also to make them a better person.
Well, I can't agree more. Actually, elderly or female are actually key opinion leader and influencer among communities. So if we have great initiatives, green initiatives, they are very strong amplifier. So apart from elderly, I think, Annie, I want to ask you how you harness and motivate the youngsters to join in the green revolution.
I'd like to add to Teresa's point about elderly. This is really a case in point. 2 weeks ago, we did flag selling for HKSAS, 買旗籌款. We have to draw in a lot of volunteers, right, to carry the bag on a Saturday morning and under such hot weather. But that day we were lucky. It's not too hot, 30 degrees, and it didn't rain for that few hours. And I've seen, parents bringing small kids, and even the helpers from home also came out, to support the activity. And for the young to learn, and also for them to, get better marks, when entering school, going to school examination. But at the same time, we have seen a lot of elderlies supporting us as volunteers. And what is really helpful is that they are KOLs. Right. They're very strong KOLs in their own community and very committed. So I would encourage everyone, when we recruit volunteers, don't forget our elderly group.
Yeah, they're a very important social capital.
Yeah. All right, in terms of youth, I think I would share that if we are to bring them on board, it is important to get their buy-in, to sort of nurture them as supporters and advocates of green. It's difficult to say, you should do this, you should do that. So having them to believe in it as a value, and then they will adopt it by themselves. So what could we do, So what we have tried, in banks or in NGOs is that get them exposed, through different ways, because different people get inspired by different ways, right? So education, awareness, so it might not mean, sending studies for them to read, Right. It might mean, through activities, through workshops, through participation. So for example, when I sit in the startup pitching today, I think it's a great exercise for university students to come in. Right. You can hear out, oh, there are so many fantastic solutions now, which we don't get to know when we're back, in the school or back to our working desk in the corporate world. So this kind of activity, I think, is a good way to engage the youth, the youngsters, to see really a different perspective and to see hope, and then get them to come in. And for those, I think, who are lucky enough to be, in the corporate world, do watch out for, I'm one of them, to do watch out for information, that your company would prepare on sustainability, on green. And that is where inspired me, to join this topic, is that you get to read something that you like. It's such a broad subject, so much to learn. I think personally it's more difficult than learning to be, a banking practitioner. So when you are in an organization, you can read about it, and if you are the leaders, do more, for them, awareness, and it's not a one-shot approach. Create opportunities for them to join workshops. If you are the manager, right, give them the time out to do it, or create projects for them to participate in. you know, create that collaborative spirit, sharing, you know. So I thought these are some thoughts to share.
Well, thank you so much. Actually, from you, I already observed the uniqueness of women, like very communicable, very caring, sensitive to like people around. So I want to ask Jennifer, do you see this is the uniqueness of women, especially as a leader? Is it a plus or advantage when you're handling the transformation of your business?
I can share is the third generation, it was actually led by my dad. So I can see the differences. So previously he already had this mindset of, oh, we have to be sustainable. He chose materials. But how he delivered the message is really top down. I have to do this, let's do this. But for us, like my sister and I run the business now. So we'll actually explain to our colleagues, telling them, giving the best to the family is our motto. So if we want a good environment for the next generation, this is what we have to do. And what is interesting is that my colleagues start to have different initiatives themselves, like very simple things like reusable paper, print less paper. They will think, oh, do we have to print it out this time to present and things like that. The other one is actually just as simple as recycling plastic bottles. So one of my staff will say, okay, since we don't have this system in the building, I will be the one who take all the plastic bottles to the center to recycle. She actually managed to start the program and influence the other colleagues to do it for them. And what we do is actually, what we feel is that change, we need help. We need a community to do it together. So we actually open a platform for other businesses, for our customers to join our initiatives to help the needs. We do elderly service, and we do give our thermalware to the need, especially for the low-income group. So we will involve our internal staff as well to work with us, as well as our customer. So what we feel as a business or a leader in a business is really start change within, and then after we change slowly, it will be influenced by other people. You cannot forcefully influence and make change, but what you can do is change yourself first.
So do you think, or any entries also, do you think as a woman in this field, is it an obstacle or an opportunity to like push the environmental friendly measures? Do you think it's an obstacle or an opportunity? Just feel free to chime in.
I think it's more like an opportunity, because I'm always a very positive person that if there is a way, you know, there is a will, there is a way. Yeah. So I really think that we women can complement, you know, what you know, the experts are all doing here in this hall. You know, I've seen the booths, and I feel that, you know, as we talk together, they have a lot of good ideas, good products, and this is something that, you know, I guess maybe mostly the men did it, right? But the thing is, okay, the products are there, the policies are there, the ideas are there, but how to promote it? How to market it? And I think we women may have an edge in doing that, you know, how to help to promote, to use some more humanized, you know, way of passing the message across. So for myself, you know, I'm not a leader, but I'm just a beginner. I'm very happy to be involved in this summit, but I thoroughly think about it, how I can really contribute to it. So I think for my area, you know, I start to plan that, you know, there's 3 areas that maybe I can, you know, try to do a little bit more. So one is the service, one is research, and the other one is education. For the service, because I'm chairman of the Senior Citizen Home Safety Association, I've seen a lot of cases, a lot of statistics, and we would like to organize, compile all these statistics and share it with the government. That whenever, hot weather, cold weather, it will really affect the health of the elderly. So can we do something about it? Any indicators or any preventive measures that we can, make and then suggest it to the government. And also, we are trying to upgrade our technology. Senior Citizen Home Safety Association, we use a lot of technology to complement our services. So we are all looking for more advanced technology products that can help us to early identify the health risks of our service users. So that's more for the service. And being an academia, we do a lot of research. So I'm seeing that, an increase of like 0.5 degrees temperature, it makes a lot of difference to the health of the elderly. So I'm thinking that, whether we can continue to conduct research in this area and to find out, the mobility, the mortality rates, due to this climate-related changes. So hopefully, our research can inform the government to change policy or to improve on the services. And lastly will be education. We all talked about that earlier, that education is so important. You have all the good services here, you have all the policies here, but nobody is aware of it. So mass publication, mass education, professional education through the summit is also very important. So hopefully, with all this information, the research findings, would help. And the lastly would be on education that, from, like what I talk about, the volunteer, the senior volunteer, they are very good ambassadors and they are helping us with a lot of public education. So I think, these three areas would be, what I'm going to do in my next step to help start with the green movement. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Teresa. There's a lot of work we can do actually for everyone to move forward. So at the end, Jennifer, do you have any insights, like the opportunity and also the hurdles as women in green revolution?
Yeah, I think I would agree with Teresa that the female gender would be a complement to the male gender in this drive, and with all the due respect, of our friends, male friends. Perhaps, I'm coming in the subject as a layman. My experience would be now I have so much to read and so much to learn, and I could be bombarded. Once I follow something on LinkedIn, I really couldn't finish reading anything, and in the end, I don't want to be fatigued with information, then I give up. Then I go to, read Instagram instead. So I think perhaps a big challenge for ESG is to communicate well to the general public. How do we bring all these technical, complex subjects and distill into, acceptable information? Breaking down it into digestible pieces, and through that process, to gain more buy-in and participation.
Sure.
Yeah.
I really agree with Teresa and Nenny. I think add to that is really us women and men works together to make change, and then we will use our, how should I say it? We are more empathetic in some ways and more emotional, and guys are more logical. So I think with that balance, we can actually make things work and then more efficient. So it's always about different views. It's always about balancing. So I think this is difficult for businesses when it's about profit, but at the same time, how do you bring in purpose to businesses? So balancing will be a challenging, but it's workable. Yes.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, Annie, and also Teresa. Thank you for your sharing, inspiring. This is a very inspiring conversation, actually. I believe with more women leaders like you, our progress in green revolution will be like much more faster and really help the people around us. Thank you so much for your sharing. So let's give our remarkable panelists a great round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you as well to our moderator and the panelists. And exactly as it is, the women empowerment, we can make the change and we can bring the communities together. And I definitely have some ideas as well, Professor Tien and everyone here, to basically how to bring it to the voices and how to collaborate together. So a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Have a nice weekend.
Please. You can take the, oh, did we have a picture already? Yes, already. Okay, perfect, wonderful. Good, thank you, thank you, thank you. I found it quite interesting to hear that we have in Hong Kong more than 12,000 people that are older than 100 years. Like, for me, that was like very, I thought that this is only numbers that we can find in Japan, and yet, actually, I have to say, no wonder, because every morning when my dear daughter is waking me up at 5 a.m., I see everyone outside doing Tai Chi, and I'm like, that's what I have to do, actually. I have to start early, so. Great, thank you so much. Having said this, unfortunately, we are getting to our last session of today, of the conference. It is already with a sadness in my eyes and heart that we have these conversations coming to an end. Nevertheless, it doesn't mean that we don't have to put our actions into places. So I encourage everyone to definitely take everything on board, what we've heard today. And without any ado, I would like to welcome the next speaker on the topic of enhancing energy efficiency, master codes, adaptive heat insulation solutions by Mrs. Leila Lee, Senior Marketing Officer, Mastercode Solar Shield Technology. Mrs. Lee, the stage is yours. A round of applause, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leila, and today I'll be speaking on behalf of Mastercode. First and foremost, huge thank you to ESG Xchange for the invitation and for hosting such an amazing event. It's truly an honor to be among such distinguished attendance today. So our discussion today revolves around the critical theme of ESG, and within this framework, our focus lies in the environment sector, particularly on energy saving via heat insulation and energy saving for commercial buildings. So let me start by introducing a bit about our master codes. We are a Hong Kong-based professional entity that has been dedicated to heat insulation, energy saving, and improving living and working environment for the past 25 years. We are honored to be certified experts by the International Window Film Association, providing you with the superior solutions for heat insulation and energy efficiency. So to understand the impact of our solutions, let's first look at how heat affects buildings. Did you know that buildings absorb a significant amount of heat, with glass windows accounting for up to 50% and rooftops up to 35%? It's no secret that the traditional fabric curtains struggle to block out heat effectively. As a result, many people working in glass wool office buildings have had to get creative to keep their spaces cool, as shown on the slide, utilizing materials like cardboards and reflective boards, but we can provide a better solution to that. So heat absorption via windows lead to increased energy consumption, increased use of AC, and more carbon footprint, and higher costs. So it could also make your employees uncomfortable, prompting them to turn up the air conditioning system, which consumes more energy and drive up expenses. Additionally, employees near the air vents are more likely to catch colds and take sick leaves, further escalating operation costs. To combat solar heat from windows and create a more comfortable work environment while reducing costs, Massacre provides two main effective solutions, which are first, the common adhesive solar window film, and secondly, the less common transmission solar shade. So let me start with the more common one, the adhesive solar window film. It's applied directly onto glass surfaces. Massacre provides a selection of different models to fulfill various needs. Some can block up to 85% of solar heat, with a temperature difference of up to 10 degrees Celsius between treated and untreated windows. Some other models are so transparent you won't even notice the film is there. To illustrate the effectiveness of our solutions, let's look at some real-world examples. Here are a few case studies I will show you, which our products have made a notable difference in reducing heat and improving energy efficiency for different building types. Here, after applying the film, Crown did not need to install additional air conditioning anymore, which resulted in significant energy and cost savings. Additionally, the tinted model of the reflective film increased privacy for when using the stairs, enhancing both comfort and security. Here, the film restored the exterior layer of Suntec Center skylight to its appearance 35 years ago, while simultaneously reducing air conditioning expenses largely, demonstrating that energy efficiency and aesthetics persuasion can go hand in hand. At Bel Air, the high transparency film maintained the lobby's original glass clarity, preserving the architectural style while improving thermal comfort. This meant that the existing air conditioning system remained sufficient, avoiding the need for costly upgrades and a higher carbon emission. With a similar type of window film at the MTR Asia World Exposition, the high transparency film preserved the full sea view day and night. Despite the heavy foot traffic during peak hours, the air conditioning system remained sufficient, demonstrating the film's efficiency in maintaining a comfortable indoor environment. So having seen how our adhesive solar film can transform the efficiency and comfort of these buildings, let's delve into another powerful solution, the transmission solar shade. This less common but highly effective technology offers even greater heat insulation, particularly suitable for buildings with exterior glass walls where the use of adhesive film may be regulated. Transmission solar shades can block up to 96% of heat with a temperature difference of up to 12 degrees Celsius between shaded and unshaded areas. It can also block over 90% of glare, making it easier to see computer screens and monitors while still enjoying the outside view. Let's now look at some specific instances where transmission solar shade has been successfully implemented by Mastercard. Here at K-Wall Center, our transmission solar shade blocks 82% of solar heat while preserving the full sea view. This means you can enjoy a stunning, unobstructed view of Victoria Harbour during the day, and at night, simply retract the shades to take in the beautiful night scenery and fireworks. On the second case study, by shading the intense afternoon sun, our solution makes the window-side seat at Hotel Le Méridien more appealing to guests. The comfortable environment encourages guests to relax and enjoy the view without discomfort of the direct sunlight, enhancing their overall experience. Similarly, at Gateway, our transmission solar shade effectively blocks the harsh afternoon sunlight, making it easier for employees to work on their computer without glare. This not only improves comfort, but also boosts productivity by creating a more conducive working environment. And at Hong Kong International Airport's third control tower, our solution ensures that regardless of the intensity of the sunlight, air traffic controllers can have a clear vision of planes taking off and landing. This is crucial for the safety and efficiency of airport operations, demonstrating the reliability and effectiveness of our heat blocking technology. So, as we have shared, window films and shades can significantly reduce solar heat transmittance through glass surfaces. However, rooftop also played a critical role in a building's overall heat absorption. Temperature-wise, rooftop is actually the hottest part of a building. To addressing this area, Masako uses a solar and water shield coating. This can reduce the temperature, prevent leaks, and extend the original lifespan of the waterproof layer. Applying the coating to concrete surfaces on the roof can lower the temperature by up to 12 degrees Celsius, and on metal surfaces, it can make a difference of 30 degrees in temperature. In terms of case study, at the Jockey Club San Quan Outdoor Training Camp, the metal rooftop was coated with our solar and water shield coating. This treatment resulted in an indoor temperature difference of 10 degrees Celsius. Consequently, the need for air conditioning was halved, leading to significant energy saving, lessen of carbon emission, and cost reduction. HKE Lama Power Station's new building utilized our coating solution and was awarded the most prestigious plant upgrade in the Hong Kong Green Building Council's BEAM Plus assessment. This recognition highlights the building's superior energy efficiency and environmental performance, showcasing our coating's ability to contribute to high standards of sustainability and greenhouse building practices. Here, a school with a glass-roofed swimming pool faces challenges with usability from May to November due to excessive heat. After applying our solar and water shield coating, the swimming pool becomes usable year-round, providing students with a comfortable and functional facility. This transformation underscores the coating's effectiveness in managing heat and enhancing usability of recreational spaces. And lastly, in closing, I'd like to mention some of our notable projects. Window films for the Legislative Council Chamber and the Lowu Bridge, solar shades for the Marine Police Sea Control Tower and the Stonecutter Island Marine Control Tower, and most recently, solar coating for the very hot Caterpillar factory with a metal roof, for which we actually received a commendation letter from Caterpillar. We believe that our track record speaks for itself, and after 25 years in the field, we have a wealth of experience and satisfied clients to prove it. If you're interested in our products and solutions, please feel free to do some last-minute job buys at our booth at A4 and 5. And that'll be all from Mastercard. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you, ESG.
Thank you so much. Yes. And right now we would like to, it's actually really good as well to see those solutions, because I don't know, I've just seen the news actually, I don't know if you've seen as well what happened at the airport in New Delhi with the flooding, how the roof actually crashed. So I think that these kind of solutions are actually as well where we have to head to, because climate change is real. So if we want it or not, it is. Having said this, this is the moment when I would like to say thank you to everyone, and definitely I would like to invite as well in a second a very important person, because without this person it wouldn't be possible to put actually such an event together and to put so many great minds and so much sharing as well together. And from my personal side, thank you so much for having me here. Thank you so much as well to the technical team and to the entire team of the World Green Organization. Can I ask you for one round of applause for everyone of the team here? Thank you as well for correcting my Chinese all the time and telling me what tones I have to use. I hope I did it well. Thank you so much. And without any overdue, I would like to ask Dr. William Yu from the World Green Organization for the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and fellow climate advocates, on behalf of World Green Organization, sincere thanks to you all for staying through the entire International Summit and Exhibition, which takes place the first time in Conventional Center. So I'm so excited to see many of you, many different friends, VIP guests, traveling from a long way from the other countries, regions, and also from Hong Kong, Macau, and China, US, Canada, UK, India, Australia, Japan, Malaysia. So what a wonderful combination. And I think we very much treasure the collaboration with the United Nations UNESCO, Hong Kong Stock Exchange, Financial Service Development Council, Cyberport, and also an important partner, Hang Seng University. To recap, we have many achievements, breakthrough in this event. We have representatives who come in person from the UNDP, UNEP, FI, United Nations, and also different international standards. ISSB, we saw a full house in the ISSB workshop. Some corporates told me they make a special arrangement to come and listen to the experts' opinion to get the update about the latest trend and development of ESG reporting disclosure. And also we have GRI, CDP, MSCI, many different types of standards. So finally, I want to say, to remind everyone again, the effects of climate change are no longer a distant threat. They are a present reality, impacting every corner of the world. Heavy rainfall, super typhoon, floodings, forest fire, rising sea level, all of this. So we are much near the tipping point. Once a tipping point is crossed, it may be impossible to reverse the change, even we stop emitting greenhouse gas. That is the real challenges. So avoiding these tipping points, we need immediate and drastic reduction in greenhouse gas emission, cutting down our carbon emissions. So every one of you, including corporate, government, consumers, we have the power to change this. Finally, some recap on our achievement this year. Over 100 speakers, including those from the overseas startup, doubling the last year number. Speakers from more than 10 locations, regional representatives, and we also have so many innovative decarbonization technologies here. Also, we have the new partner, Institute of Supply Management, Hong Kong. So I hope we can organize the same event or even a bigger one next year, hopefully, with all these sponsors. Okay, as I mentioned, the time for talk is over. The time for action is now. Let us stand together. Let us, to fight against climate change, and together we can for a sustainable future for all. Thank you. Thank you.